I feel like I've been angry for almost 50 years. I'm only starting to now realize that this is not really who I am. I'm responding to this situation in this way because I'm still stuck in that place.
Come in.
You can't let your circumstances define who you are.
Because only death is certain, everything else optional.
I guess it's like the comic, right? Yeah, that's
Just another day at the office, you know, it's like you go and you work. But at the same time, a lot of the old songs are really about violent time in my life. Performance itself, you know, sometimes it takes me to places that I really don't want to go.
You motherfuckers ready?
Here's this wild story with lots of violence and creativity and confusion and chaos.
Harley is like the real deal. And I'm not saying that just because he's my little brother and we came up together in this rock shit.
He was just like in your face.
There's like people who, the punk scene didn't shape them, they shaped the punk scene. I would put him in that category.
Harley's music is still raw as fuck.
His musicianship is just off the charts.
His stories will kill your lawn and peel the paint off your car. He's seen a whole lot of life, and he's lucky to have come through the other side.
Actually, nothing's really changed in the way I write music since I started. The ideas, they just come to me, you know, and then I try to figure them out.
Harley, he has a lot of baggage and a lot of history that he's trying to work out in his life. I got a lot of stuff, but I feel like I got nothing. I got like a little handbag compared to what he has. He's got trunks.
Now, mind you, she's cleaning them because it's driving her crazy, not me.
Can't stand it anymore.
His life story and the way he was raised. He's working out the absence of his own childhood.
I was wired for chaos before I knew anything. I was the baby in the room on the dirty mattress on the floor while the adults were freaking out because this one OD'd and...
You know, only one time when you was a kid did I really feel close to you. And that was one night when I come home and there wasn't nobody there. The dope fiend I'd left taking care of you was nodded off in the kitchen. Your mama was gone out dancing somewhere, and I was out hustling dope. And I come home and you was laying in your bed and you was all wet and you was crying. And I felt so sorry for you. I changed the bedclothes and I laid down and I held you in my arms till you went to sleep. And then I laid there and I thought bad about your mama.
She left my dad after the final ass whooping that she got. I never saw him again. I was the baby that was there on the side of the road with my mother hitchhiking with no fucking money in her pocket.
I got to be very close to Harley's mom, Rosebud. And I knew about her life, running away from home as a teenager and moving into the Carista commune, which was the free love commune in those days, and being pulled out of there by Allen Ginsberg, the great American poet. They all lived on the Lower East Side, probably like 1965, something like that. The Beats and the Warhol Factory crowd and the painters, they all knew one another. Rose was making the scene and she was very beautiful. And that was the criterion for having a screen test done, is if you weren't famous, then you were somebody who hung around.
But I'm telling you that I knew what sex was before I knew the fucking alphabet or the months of the year. I'm not motherfucking kidding you, bro. I wish I was. I remember like going to my mom's job when she was stripping. I remember watching motherfuckers sticking money down her fucking, you know. I mean, I remember hitchhiking with my mother and this guy, this truck driver tried to rape my mom. And, you know, when you're like attacking a grown man with like everything you have to get them off your mom in the side of a fucking road on the highway, that shit doesn't go away. You know, I think my mom was kind of just going from one situation to the next. I started out on the Lower East Side, and then I, almost by happenstance, wind up in Denmark. My mom went there with basically a boyfriend of hers. He was a dope dealer. We were there for I don't know how long before things went south with them, and she met my stepfather, Karsten. He's like one of the best influences that I've had in my life. I owe a lot to that man. I love him as if he really was my father. My stepdad was a longshoreman, you know. Wasn't a drug addict. We still did like crazy hippie shit. Drove to Morocco in this little minivan. It was super cool, fun, but at the end of the day, he came back and he worked. He loved me like his son. He's one of the only people I can remember actually sitting there and trying to do like homework with me. Telling me like, but you're gonna need to know this stuff. And I'm like, why do I need to know this stuff? I'm gonna be a musician. And he'd be like, but you still have to know math. My mom had it in her head that I was gonna be an artist or a musician before I knew I was gonna be. I was playing in the school band and we did a lot of performances and stuff, but she turned me on to the Sex Pistols. That was it. My hair came off. I was a punk rocker. I was playing with my first band, Little Big Boss. That's kind of where I first cut my teeth, like playing in clubs. My mom just let me go. Like, yeah, okay, you know, go play your shows and come back, you know. I was around 12 years old when we finally moved back to New York for good. The blackout and the garbage strike and the Son of Sam, it was all still fresh in the air. It was a very difficult transition for me. I had a weird accent. And I was into punk rock. I was fucked with in school and on the street and by all the kids on my block. I'm just like living in this really crazy Lord of the Flies ghetto shit show.
I went to school with Harley. He was like a really sweet kid. He was funny. He wanted attention. He wanted a lot of attention. I was different than Harley in the sense I wanted to pretend my life was normal. We had these really brilliant parents that somehow were so irresponsible. Like they just dropped us in the middle of hell and expected us to kind of just raise ourselves.
It was kind of like the way the South Bronx looked. A lot of slumlords were burning shit down. Just drug addicts, drug dealers, and fucking lunatics.
I love when they're like nodding off and they almost hit the ground or they had the oozing pus from their arms. That was just such a welcome view every morning on my way to school.
I love this motherfucker right here. I had my first cup of coffee in 5 days, so forgive me.
I've never had a cup of coffee in my life.
Really?
Never.
That's why you're so calm.
Is that why?
Must be.
My wife goes crazy if she doesn't get that shit, so.
She drinks that fucking Bustelo, too.
Nah, she drinks the white people shit.
Anyway, so look, I grew up on the Lower East Side. I hated growing up down there. I was just getting fucked with and bullied, and I deal with being prey. Like, am I getting my ass kicked on my way to school today? I have to cross the street here so I don't encounter this, that, the other, da-da-da. There was definite picking order, and obviously the Puerto Ricans definitely ran shit. They used to call Puerto Ricans the Germans. They used to call them the Gestapo because they had shit on lockdown. You would have probably got your ass kicked on my block too for being a black motherfucker because it was just, racism was just normal. Like, yeah, I appear very white. Everybody perceives me as white. I perceived myself as white, but the fact is my grandfather's from DR.
Right.
You know, I grew up getting really abused like a motherfucker for being this white kid without anybody, without myself even really understanding or embracing my Dominican blood. The gang on my block, they'd all be sitting on the stoop across from my building, you know, smoking dust, listening to their radios. Their kids' sisters used to, like, follow me, spitting at me, fucking with me, talking shit to me. You know, meanwhile, the whole time, their brothers, who were, like, straight gangbangers, were just, like, sitting there laughing, waiting for me to do something back so that they could, like, stomp me into the ground. One of the first times I got high on anything was because the gang on my block forced me to huff glue with them or they were gonna kick my ass. They like held a bag over my face and they were like, keep breathing until you can't breathe anymore.
He was very quiet and withdrawn and absolutely never any trouble. I remember you coming in and putting your head down
Well, you know
on the
what?
desk.
I couldn't understand a lot of the work because it was so different for me that I kind of gave up.
I had the feeling he was up late playing in the group. But I had the foggiest notion about what a punk band would be.
Harley, you're by far the youngest member of the band, about half.
Not by that.
Definitely, yes, yes. Yes, I am.
How on earth are you playing in a band at the age of 13?
Because I'm so great.
He's got connections.
Because I'm a good drummer, I guess. Unless I'm related to Denise.
He's my nephew. I started playing in the very late 60s. I think Rose had a guitar in the house and started to teach myself guitar chord. And then punk changed my perception of what rock and roll could be, and in my life should be. We were punks and we were on the punk scene. We lived punk, we loved punk, and that's what we were. So when I started with the Stimulators, started writing some songs, fast songs, putting this band together. Harley was also attending rehearsals and was learning the songs. He already was a musician. We were going to a gig in Philly. We're getting ready to leave. Our drummer, Blitz, where the fuck is this guy? Can't find him anywhere. Like, okay. Harley, guess what? You're the drummer.
I remember them having a female guitar player, which was totally cool. But the most impressive part about the Stimulators was the fact that they had this like little 11-year-old kid playing drums. That's fucking happening. Yeah.
Let me tell you about when I first met Harley. All right? I said, who the fuck is this little kid up there on the drums?
This guy had written on the back of his jacket, "Loud, fast rules," and we just picked up on it. We thought it was a real cool
And
a nice slogan.
Then we were rehearsing one day, and I started playing really fast on the drums, and then Denise started playing. And then we said, oh wow, this could be Loud, Fast Rules. And
the words fit the music, you know.
Loud, fast rules. It was not only who we were, it was what everybody wanted to be. It became the battle cry of the entire New York punk movement.
Their sound was amazing, their attitude was just perfect, and little Harley back there just playing drums. It was just mind-blowing. It was like if you put on a blender, right? And you threw a bunch of rocks in there, that's what it was. It was like all this shit just coming at you, smacking you in the face. I wanted to be Harley Flanagan.
I think the first time I saw the Stimulators was at this place called the Chew and Sip Deli. Harley was playing the drums, and he was like so stylish and so cute with his spiky hair and his like Sid Vicious chain around his neck. He would just like get up off the seat. He would play so hard because the drums were so big or the cymbals were up so high, and just having such a good time. I think, you know, a lot of us just decided to start bands right then and there. When Beastie Boys first started writing songs and we were kind of just making fun or just copying other bands, definitely Stimulators was like, had the formula that you could write a great punk song, and it was like fast, and then it would like quiet down and just be like a skank part where everybody could just, you know, do this, and then a sing-along chorus.
Things really exploded because everybody had to see the kid. They were in love with him. And that was very courageous for somebody 11 or 12 years old. It's a tremendous responsibility. We traveled, we went to the Carolinas. People lost their fucking minds. We were thanked for bringing punk rock to the South. We played with the best and the brightest of everybody. We played with Madness, the Cramps, the Bad Brains.
Check it out. Check it out. So I got these files.
The first time I saw you guys play, it was like confusing. I was like, oh my, like what just happened? It was like the first note, and then it was just like an explosion. My body didn't even know how to react to it. I was just like, oh shit. Like, growing up, you were like the big brother that you wished you had.
He would get on my nerves, and you know, Harley's a rascal. Like, he would try to take my hat off or some shit, you know, in a sound check where I'm trying to be cool or with I'm Rasta Man or whatever. We stayed up in their house. I was at his grandmother's house when he was a little kid.
First thing he would do when he'd see me would be like, grab me and throw me down and get me in a headlock and start fucking me up. And, you know, even at my grandparents' house, we had these motherfuckers over for Christmas. And, you know, my grandfather was a musician, and so he was very impressed with these guys. And
I remember your grandfather.
Yeah, man. And I'm in the back room. I remember this shit like it was yesterday. I spent like an hour setting up this war. I had all my soldiers, everything. I'm a little kid, right? So I've got my fucking shit all set up. Daryl walks in behind me and goes, and then came a bomb. Boom! And hit the fucking table, and everything's like, bring. I'm like, motherfucker! I'm like, Daryl! Oh, man, but it's just like, you know, I think back to that, and it just fucking warms my heart. The brotherly love that I got from this dude was so meaningful at a time when my life was actually really kind of rough and difficult.
I moved in across the hall from them. They were all jammed into an apartment that was smaller than mine. I met him when he was 12. He was like the Artful Dodger or something. There was just that kind of energy about him. He was on the loose. I think he spent a lot of his nights away from home, even at that young age.
At night, I was going to clubs and hanging out with mostly adults and mostly people who were like considered iconic, cool, legendary musicians and whatever and this and that.
I documented the whole punk scene. I took pictures of people backstage. The Clash concert at the Palladium, it was the first time they ever played in New York, and went backstage and I saw Andy Warhol talking to Joe Strummer, and I took the picture. In those days, you couldn't see the photograph that you took until after you developed it in a darkroom. It was the kind of photo that I was always opting for. It had a surprise in it. It was not like any other person's photo of Andy Warhol and Joe Strummer, for sure. I didn't really realize Harley was in the frame.
The gigs he got to see, the people he got to meet, crazy. Like probably by 13, he had seen a whole lot of stuff that maybe someone of that age can do without.
First time I took LSD was with Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys, and we wound up going to see Clockwork Orange. And it was just a really fucking weird night. I was probably like 13. I only ate like a half a hit. Just give him a half a hit because he's a kid.
I know you from the Stimulators.
That blew my mind when you told me that you saw us play.
I remembered, standing out front of Max's Kansas City in like 1980 and trying to get in and, and who's this fucking 13-year-old kid who's just walking through walls, getting served? How come he gets, how have the laws of the universe changed that allow this kid to move in a grown-up world?
Everybody's like getting totally fucked up, and people are getting blowjobs and fucking shooting up and doing all kinds of fucking craziness all over the place. And then there's this little kid walking around like bumming quarters for the pinball machine. I was molested as a kid many times. Mostly by females, so, you somehow convince yourself that that's okay. When you're 13 and they're 19 or 20 or whatever, Me and my friends used to cut school, and there was this one weed dealer in the neighborhood, like older dude. He had a big-ass fucking dog, scary-ass Great Dane. He had guns, made sure we knew he had guns. We'd go to his house, smoke weed, get drunk. And one day he invited me over, I was by myself. I don't know if I got drugged or what the fuck, but like, next thing I'm in this motherfucker's bedroom and he's on my back, my little 13-year-old ass back. And I just remember like tensing up. My whole body was closing my ass, basically. And this fucking scumbag blew his load on my back. All of a sudden I realized I was just a helpless, there ain't nothing you can do. I buried that shit so hard, so deep. And that pushed me really to the dark place.
His mother quite candidly said, Parents get in the way. Kids are intuitive. They can do it on their own. They don't need us to tell them what to do. They can figure it out better than we can. We get in the way of them. Incredible philosophy.
There was a different time.
It was a stupid time. It was dumb. It's not smart. There's a reason why animals survive in the wild and why they don't. That's the stuff of parenting. If you don't have that, you die. Or you're so lucky that you squeak through because you happen to be a very talented musician, and that helps lead you a little ways down the path to survival.
We got over to Northern Ireland to play Belfast's first ever punk new wave festival.
Northern Ireland, they've been fighting a civil war for 400 years.
What they called the Troubles between the Catholics and Protestants. It was punk rock that was bridging all of this negative energy with the young people.
What about coming from New York to Belfast? Were you still nervous about coming here?
From what I heard, I thought it would be like people shooting each other all over the place, but it's really nice. I like it here a lot. In New York, if you ask somebody what the time is, they'll mug you.
What about the other kids at school, Holly? What do they think about you being away playing with a band?
They hate me. Mostly because I'm white, not because I'm playing in a band. See, it's all these Puerto Rican kids that don't like me.
I remember we did a show at Ulster Hall. There must have been well over 100 people fighting. And I had never seen anything like that. Like, we were on stage when the riot started. These dudes didn't give a fuck, man, you know, and you wound up with cops just pouring into the place, and it was insane. In New York, I was used to seeing punk rockers getting beat up. Here I was seeing all these punks and skinheads fighting with the cops.
These cops have fucking machine guns over here. They're not even like regular cops.
I was so used to seeing white kids at the bottom of the food chain in the streets, you know, and I was like, whoa, like these dudes are not, like, they're not taking no shit. And I was like, wow, this is fucking awesome. And I identified with that, and in particular, the skinheads.
You know, they shaved my head and they told me go back to America and teach them about skinheads. And I did.
When Harley came back and he had a shaved head, he was like a tough guy. You know, skinheads at that time to us were still not the violent national front, you know?
What's a ska boy?
Skinhead.
Ska people, the mod scene and stuff like that. And the fashion had a lot to do with it back then. It was a way to separate yourself. But I think that was the beginning when we kind of saw Harley taking a different turn. Punk rock was nice. You know, people don't remember that. It was fucking fun. People didn't get into it to beat people up.
For me, it wasn't about the look. It wasn't about the haircut and the style. It wasn't even about the music, the skinhead music, because that shit was just punk rock. You know, it was just punk rock with short hair. To me, being a skinhead was all about not taking any shit.
Plus, back then, people forget, like, punk rockers in general were a target because, you know, in America, that was what you would hear walking down the street. Punk rock, suck cock.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, you know? And it's just like, you'd be like, oh, man, you know, here we go. And, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so I really had to, like, earn my stripes. And so I became problematic.
I was just hitting my teens and really inspired by bands that the Stimulators had been playing with. The Bad Brains, the Circle Jerks. Stimulators played with you guys at Irving Plaza. That was a fucking game-changing gig.
That tour was amazing. It was like the first show we played was with you guys.
When I heard that stuff, I was like, it was like the energy was like, it was like, this is like, I was so young and full of fucking Coca-Cola and just energy and like 13-year-old fucking, I'm out of my mind. The speed and the quickness and it was that. So I had to do something new. I hate to say it, but that was the end of the Stimulators for me. Because I was like, I'm off to the future.
He put in his years. He wants to move on. God bless him. He already had like 10 songs. And not only did he write them, but he played everything. He played the drums, he played the guitar, he played the bass, and he was writing the words. I'm like, who ever heard of a kid masterminding a project like this? And said, okay, let's go to a recording studio and let you start putting these things down. Our music was melodic, and he was just like, fuck that, I'm like badass, I'm hardcore, and this is it. And it was a world of difference.
I kind of was having problems at home. My mom's then husband, you know, kind of gave me an ultimatum, like, you either got to start, you know, going back to school, or you got to get some kind of work, or you got to do some kind of something. And I was like, fuck it, no, I'm out, I'm good. I was like, later. And I just, you know, started staying at squads.
C-Squat was where a lot of the street punk rockers would just live. And Harley lived there with his pit bull. I'll never forget it. The dog would like sit there and like hear the rats running through the walls. And then one time it just darted right through the drywall and came out with a fucking rat in its mouth. Those kind of images were very, they stuck in my mind.
He found a family. That was his crew. That was the crew that was going to protect you against the stuff that happens to you. And even though these people are actually pulling you further down into this depth of hell, they're going down there with you, and you somehow take solace in that.
I was living in a building with no fucking electricity and no water, and I was shoplifting to fucking feed myself.
Hey, make sure you get Franny on this one. You ready? Start filming. Tell me when you're ready. We lived in squats together. We pretty much roamed all New York City. We were running that place, doing delinquent things. We want to get tattooed. We need money. And then we would do dumb things. You know, I'm not really proud of it. And we'd go to Mikey's Tattoo, get tattooed. We looked out for each other. We were a tribe, you know, the real tribe.
I wasn't a mean person, but I had to kind of talk myself into being worked up. I gotta take this dude's shit just to kind of survive.
You raise yourself in a wild environment, so you're wolf boy, basically. And that is the definition of being feral, where you just kind of, I'll eat that. Are you done with that? Here, that'll be dinner. And you get used to it pretty fast.
Did you have a jar full of teeth?
No.
Okay, so I heard that you had a jar full of teeth.
I've knocked out a lot of teeth. I did used to save things from people that I would stomp out.
Right.
Boots that I took off skinheads that I thought were punks and didn't have the right to rep being a skinhead.
Why did you have a hit put out on you?
Because I fucked up this, one of the people who ran the Pyramid Club. It was just one of those dumb nights of just stupid shit.
Welcome to the Pyramid.
The Pyramid Club was a famous gay club, but even hardcore music was played. It was everything. It was cabaret. Harley and his crew were going after people going to the Pyramid. And, you know, they were smoking dust. The guys in the Pyramid raised $10,000 to go after Harley. They hired a Puerto Rican local gang to either kill Harley or rough him up.
They were from my block. They were from 12th Street. You know, they knew who I was. They knew who my mom was. I remember being a little kid in school and people talking about Pigman. He would pull up on people in his Blue Nova and blast them with a shotgun. Imagine what it feels like when you're like 15 or 16 and all of a sudden, like, you know, you basically have the boogeyman looking for you, you know? It's like having fucking Freddy Krueger or some shit having a hit on you. And one time they like kicked into the door at a friend of mine's apartment and put guns in people's mouths and shit, looking for me. Probably the only reason it didn't seem as nuts as it was is because I was always fucking tripping on acid or fucked up all the time. Shit was getting pretty dangerous for me. And there was this band playing at A7. They were from California, and they were leaving that night. So I piled in the car with them, and, you know, we headed west. I wind up in San Francisco, living at the Vats, an abandoned brewery. I was literally staying in an air vent. That's where I started doing crystal meth and shit like that. I was eating acid every day, practically. Nothing about this didn't seem normal. Lyrics were my journal. I was starting to come of age writing my own songs. I was like trying to create my own sound of music.
It would be a real motherfucking, just a real fucking joy.
Yeah.
Just have some fun, man. Just play some fucking music.
Love it. When we focus enough on our craft, it doesn't matter whether the craft is simple or complex or what fucking style it is. It's that within the context of it, you're able to articulate your fucking
Sincerity.
self. And yourself, the way that you feel. You know, as a kid, you don't really know how to make sense of things. If someone's abusive to you, the world seems dishonest. If you're scared to be in your own house, like how it was for me as a kid, I was scared to be in my house. It was a scary fucking place. And when I found music and found also like the community of musicians, being in that space where you're playing music and you're channeling this thing that's way bigger than you, you're free. You're tapping your higher self and you're expressing it.
I'm writing about my life, running the streets and getting in fights and getting jumped and fighting back and just being a fucking maniac. You know, without music, I would have probably would have definitely ended up dead or in jail.
Get one of me, I got my knife.
Alright, you got your knife? It's the concrete jungle, ain't it? New York!
I was going out with this Canadian chick from Montreal. She was like 18 or 19. I was 15 years old. And I decided to go back there with her. Now here I am in fucking Canada. And we're like staying at all kinds of crazy places where people aren't even supposed to live. We wound up hooking up with these guys. They were in their 20s. They were skinheads. These particular assholes were completely fucking out of their mind. Pentagrams tattooed all over them, swastikas all over them. They were like satanic Nazi skinheads. I enjoyed a fight, but I wasn't into just like extreme violence for the sake of it. These guys were. That's when it really turned into like some real like Clockwork Orange shit. We'd eat acid and sit around listening to aggressive music and just like getting revved up and pumped up. Stretching, doing splits and shit because they know they're gonna go out and fucking fight that night. We're walking down the street. One of them like kicks this dude in the fucking face as he's walking by. I'm the last one standing. I got this pipe in my jacket. If you don't get your hands dirty, you know you're next on the menu. That's just the fucking, that's the law of the land, man, and that street shit. The chick that I went to Canada with, she used to go out with one of these dudes. So, you know, it was only a matter of time. She started trying to fuck around with her again while we were there. Yeah, and when she wasn't having it, you know, it took them a whole about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so to decide one night, you know, fuck this kid. 3 of them said, Harley, get up. Go like this to get up, and I get kicked right in the face. She starts screaming, she's trying to jump on them, this and that. One of them's holding her. The 2 are just kicking the fucking living shit out of me. They took turns. And then they said, we're going out. When we come back, you better fucking be gone. And we packed and got the fuck out of there. That was the first time that I ever got beat to the point where I needed to go to the hospital. That shit was getting infected and like it had been kicked around a bunch of times by 3 guys wearing steel-toed boots. You know, maybe that's why my teeth look like this. Oh yeah, come to think of it, I used to have straight teeth before I went to Canada. No, that's bullshit. My teeth are always fucked up. That was a joke, people. I'm trying to, you know, lighten up the fucking situation here. That same week, I got this tattoo. Of the devil grabbing the world. He's just leaping through the universe and reaching out and grabbing it. This felt like just the world was going to hell. Like everything and everybody in it. That's when I was just like, you will fucking fear me. That turned me into the Harley. You look at me wrong or for too long, I will fuck you up. Everybody knew that I was starting a band called the Cro-Mags. I was writing it everywhere. I'd wake up at C-Squat, come up with an idea. I didn't have any way to record it. We didn't have electricity. So a lot of times I would go to a payphone and call Paris and be like, don't pick up the phone. And I would hum a riff into his machine, and he would learn it and come back and we would play it. As the Cro-Mags, we came out of the starting gate crushing all the other bands. Most of the other bands didn't even want to play with us in New York because we all were musicians. Paris grew up listening to rock and playing. Mackie was also a really good drummer. And then John was just a chaotic ball of energy on stage. And it wasn't really about vocals as much as it was about energy and presence and attitude. We developed a pretty strong fan base like right away.
Those shows were packed. We're mad. Not even punk rock records do it anymore. We need stronger stuff. Hardcore is the answer. With hardcore bands, it's written by young people for young people. So it's fresh. It's right out of the water onto your plate. How can it not be infectious? The audience is wild, and the band is wild, and you see 4 bands doing 4 40-minute sets, and CBGBs would be 300 pounds heavier from sweat going into the floor at the end of a matinee.
Okay.
I was saying Cass.
Yeah, I remember all these faces. What the fuck was her
Jenny
name?
Lush.
Jenny Lush. Yeah.
I mean, I think that my way in, I felt that's what I had to offer. Like, I could say, I took pictures of you guys. These are the ones.
That's my Jaco Pastorius base.
So these are the ones I was talking about that were not.
Urban Plaza.
They were totally blown out before, and then when I rescanned them, they got better.
I still have those boots.
You do?
They have fucking teeth marks and the steel toes and everything. I'm like fucking red braces, plaid shirt,
Yeah,
fucking
what's
hell,
that?
man. I'm like,
I guess you knew your audience. I grew up in Rockland County, and I would take the bus into the city and then the train downtown to West Fourth, and then I would get out and walk east. I wanted truth. And everybody was real. They weren't full of shit. It's just so wild to me that we all just somehow found each other. How did no one see? How did no one say, are you okay? So many of us had come from alcoholic parents or whatever sexual abuse stuff was happening. How many people in your film have been sexually abused? Has anyone not been?
It sort of felt like, okay, these are my people. Back in my school, I'm a freak. All the people are coming from New Jersey or Long Island or Connecticut or Queens, and they're freaks, and they're all coming together for a big freak parade.
Here's to the ink in you. Yeah. Is this for TV?
And now we're gonna listen to some band play their freaky music.
I remember that anticipation of like knowing the Cro-Mags are literally, you're about to walk on stage and We Gotta Know is gonna kick in, and it's just like it's just insanity.
All right, we're the Cro-Mags.
It's terrifying and it's awesome at the same time. I've never bungee jumped, but that's what I compare it to, because in 3 seconds I might end up in the hospital, or I might just dance and have the time of my life. But you're still going. You're going in. You don't care. You're going in.
know that after a show, I felt better. Maybe it's the feeling I get from hot yoga now. It's so not that feeling. But that thing of just getting it out, you know, dancing and sweating and raging.
Is this about being angry at your parents? I'm gonna ask this one more time.
Like, it's not the parents that we're rebelling against, it's more like authority who tries to just like cram all kinds of materialistic, like bogus views down our throats since like childhood. When I go to a show, we don't sit around and talk about what our parents are saying or how school is going. I don't know. I mean, we're there to have a good time. I mean, we're there to have a good time, you know, with our friends, seeing bands that we like.
What do you plan to do?
I play bass with the Cro-Mags. We got an album coming out soon.
We would go off into the weekend night and the Cro-Mags, Age of Quarrel, that would be our anthem. I first discovered the Cro-Mags as a teenager, so I grew up in suburban Southern California. Pop that tape into the car and like, we're listening to Age of Quarrel on repeat all night. It was so raw and brutal.
When I first heard Age of Quarrel, I was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. Because what are you gonna listen to? The Eagles? Boston, REO Speedwagon, right? That's not in my head. I hear it, it's a thing, but it doesn't fit in there right. Hear the Cro-Mags and you go, oh yeah, this is what's in my head.
Our first big break was when we went on tour with Motorhead. You know, it opened us up to a different crowd. All of a sudden, you had a lot of metalheads discovering hardcore. And what really changed everything was the We Got No video, because that showcased what hardcore was all about for the first time on MTV.
The New York scene was really aggro, like skinhead being bruisers. It was absurd that people had to get beat up over their fucking shoelaces. Like skinheads didn't like red shoelaces or just any reason to fight.
Shit can go down in any moment. One particular story I remember of Harley threatening this guy with a chair leg and a nail in it. Something about stealing the guy's boots and beating him anyway.
I didn't come to hardcore for physical intimidation. I came to hardcore to be inspired, to look at kids, white, black, green, and other, who were doing things, who were making things. They were making zines, they were making music, they were booking shows. So I benefited from that. That's what I took from hardcore. I didn't take the thug shit. Fuck, I got thug shit all day in my neighborhood. Why would I want thug shit from a bunch of white dudes anyway? I think there's something to white male identity and manifest destiny that white dudes got to go at each other to be the top dog or the top banana.
I remember going to Cro-Mags at CBGB's. It just felt very militant. It felt very Aryan race or something. Like, it was like, I was like, wow, this is a little too white for me, a little too skinhead for me, a little too freaking angry for me. And not that Harley wasn't still, of course, nice, but he wasn't the like, hey, Neff. It was like, hey, cool, thanks, you know.
That's the period of time where I kind of didn't want to know that guy. you're a dangerous dude. You're gonna end up in jail. You're gonna end up dead. Like, you're really on the edge, man.
I will say that as fucked up as he has been, I always thought that he had a good heart. I just felt like he's a good guy, and I'm sorry that his armor is so heavy.
I think everybody should try to be a little bit more aware of, of their past and their present and the future, and about their relationship with God.
The interesting thing about the Cro-Mags isn't just their live set, it's the fact that two of them follow Hare Krishna.
Well, yeah, he used to live at the temple for a long time. We all read Bhagavad Gita, and the scriptures are really a good guideline because it's like the oldest source of knowledge in it, and it really stands strong and up to and very relevant to what's happening today.
I think the Krishna thing in New York was a reaction to what the Bad Brains were doing with Rastafarianism and sort of this consciousness. And it was probably a little bit more easy to get with if you were white. The music of the Cro-Mags is so powerful, and they were such charismatic dudes that really inspired other people in the hardcore scene to learn about it and become a part of it.
It's just like an ancient way of thinking that gave some kind of hope. It was one of the first parts of me steering myself away from the extreme violence.
Youth of Today, my band, was playing, and Harley missed our performance because he got in a fight with somebody. And after the show, he called me to come walk with him. He pulls out his stick with a nail in it, and he starts rapping it against his hand. And I was like, it goes real south, real quick, right now. And he starts preaching to me that we could die at any moment. And the illusion of the world is that we think we're gonna live forever. But it's just not true. Whack, whack, whack. And then we started walking down into the First Avenue subway station. He doesn't let up his preaching to me about transcendental spiritual philosophy of the ancient gold standard of spirituality. And now it's getting passed on to me in a dirty subway station by a guy who looks like a human pit bull. He goes, you gotta learn compassion before you can advance in spiritual life. So we see spirit in every living being. After that beautiful soliloquy, he jumps the turnstile, and the lady at the subway booth was like, hey, get back here, pay your fare. So he just looks at the lady and goes, F you! That was my introduction to the spiritual philosophy of the East. And it was sort of a seed which changed the entire trajectory of my life.
We're all brothers and sisters. Is this not the truth? Is there any need for all of this nonsense? All people, you got short hair, I got long hair, this, that. Fuck that. 'Cause we're all brothers, right?
It was strange to be successful, and we're pretty much all still broke.
Let me give you the rundown of the band. It's like the rehearsal studio gets paid, the recording studio gets paid, the record label gets paid, everyone that works around the lawyer gets paid,
the manager gets paid,
the clubs get paid, everybody gets paid first, and then the band. And
so
a lot of
by the time
times
we get paid, we're lucky if we can afford breakfast. So that's why you gotta play because you want to, and because you, as a person, you have to. to like feel whole. I mean, if I stopped playing music, I'd fizzle away and die somewhere like a bum.
My life and John's in particular were pretty stressful. We were like couch surfing and staying in squats, and to feel like you're kind of getting ripped off and all that stuff. As time went by, I think it created a lot of tension between all of us as a band and as friends and everything else, you know. When I was starting to really get fucked up on heroin, my mom started flipping out and she starts like blaming it on, it's, you know, the girlfriend you're with. I'm just like, you know what? It's like, maybe I don't want to be a fucking rock star. You ever fucking think about that, Mom? Maybe I'm tired of fucking living up to every fucking buddy else's expectations. Maybe I just want to fucking be a scumbag and fucking shoot drugs and fucking OD and fuck everybody. It's hard to be that type of an intense person and to go to such extreme emotional dumps. And drugs become an easy way to deal with fame and the confusion of popularity and the depression. It's a heavy thing to go from to the silence of your room and your mind.
I'd been seeing this chick for a while, and we were both really fucked up on drugs. It was just spiraling, and I knew that if I didn't get the fuck out of town and get away from her, that I was gonna end up dead. So I split town.
And while I was on the West Coast, she got in touch with me and told me that she had contracted AIDS and that she was about to have a daughter. And then she tells me that it might be mine. And all I could think about was this unborn child that was probably not gonna know anything about their mother. I came back to New York, the kid had been born, and I started taking care of the mother. The other potential father candidate, who wound up being her father, was a crackhead. And I'm like, this kid has got nothing. She's got nothing. I decided to clean up, so I started jogging. And she abandoned the kid at a fucking crack house one day. And I went to that fucking crack house and I took that child. And all these crackheads were in there fucking, you can't take the baby, you can't take. I said, try to stop me, motherfucker. Just try. And I raised her for the first 3 years of her life. I was so attached to her, I loved her so much, and then the grandparents really didn't want me involved. So I remember the last time I left her there with them, and she was crying hysterically, please, Daddy, don't go, Daddy, don't go. I still hear it, you know. I could have relapsed that night. I could have fell right on my face listening to that kid cry and beg for me not to leave her. I said, you know what? I saved her, and if the one good thing that comes out of that besides that, it's gonna be that I stay off fucking heroin. I'd rather die fighting than die because I gave up, because you just don't know what is coming ahead. It can really suck for a long time, but you may get to a place where all of a sudden everything changes. I take the train to work, and, you know, like every other New Yorker, you know?
Look at that. He bridges towards me, brings his leg over. That knee drives towards the ground. He posts up on his left and pulls that arm out. Now he's in good position to go to side control.
Jiu-Jitsu teaches you to channel, to drive your aggressivity, which this is the strength that moves you forward, that drives you forward, that makes you conquer, that makes you fall in love, that makes you drive forward to achieve.
Knee over, yes, just like this. Post with this arm and pull it out, pull it out, pull it out, yeah!
I've seen Harley on every situation on this life. We've been friends for 25 years. He didn't have direction when I met him. You know, his intensity was everywhere. It's like sometimes the wrong friends, the insecure, because people don't understand. Who is violent? Insecure people. You know, and I saw Harley completely change.
We're here. I'm going for this leg. Boom. You go here, you can step forward when you do it. Go back again. Okay, now look, first, in front of my face. Okay, step here. Replace, reinforce. Yes. Yeah, cover those two toes. See, I want my, like, yes, elbows in. Okay. Yeah, easy, easy, yes. Once I'm here, I come behind it, make a fist here. Look, I'm gonna go very easy. Let's say I'm gonna put my knuckle straight back behind me. I'm gonna go easy. Yeah. Yes, motherfucker.
When I first started training at Henzo's, it was, I guess, January or February of '96. I had just fucking kicked smack. I was like I'd been all fucked up on crystal meth and angel dust and fucking
You
all
look
that
fucking
shit.
nutty.
I was a mess. That 10-year period that I started training and getting my life together, half the motherfuckers that I know in music were like fucking dropping dead.
If a band sticks around long enough to become a brand or anything that has any lasting value, you know, things are going to change. I mean, it's hard enough for people to stay married.
My life really changed when I became a father. Being around my sons was really important for me. I wanted to be, for them, what I really didn't have.
The band actually never really fell apart. There was like a brief period of time that I was raising my kids, and there was, you know, a masquerade going on of the band. When you're young, everybody's got a fucking ego. Everybody's, you know.
For John to take over Cro-Mags in the eyes of the fans, he had to put dirt on me.
I had a kid and I couldn't go on tour, and motherfucker booked the whole tour and started touring without me.
A stabbing melee broke out in the middle of the CBGB festival Friday night when Harley Flanagan, former bassist and founding member of the Cro-Mags, showed up at his old band's gig at Webster Hall in New York City.
There's like a hardcore fest. It's like a reunion fest, bringing back a bunch of old bands, and the Cro-Mags. I should say a formation of the Cro-Mags or members of the Cro-Mags.
Oh man, you can just call it the faux Mags. Let's just keep it real, man.
They were gonna play
a fake ass band that does my songs with one of the old members, you know,
and they were gonna play.
Yes.
When I went to Webster Hall, I went after teaching a jiu-jitsu class. You know, I went straight from work. I actually had passes. I was put on the guest list by one of the promoters. Everybody knew I was going to be there. I mean, things were going pretty good for me at that moment, I thought. I actually had like this crazy idea that if I saw John, you know, we'd, you know, recognize something there. You know what I mean? This is a guy that I, you know, was pretty tight with growing up. I mean, we used to live in squats. We went through a lot of shit, you know. We used to have to steal together. We survived, you know. We were out there hustling.
Friends like you, who you did on me.
One fucker comes up to me, gives me a hug, and says, you know, I always had love for you. Let's go talk to John, man. Let's go squash this shit. This has been going on for way too long. We walk to the dressing room. The one guy opens the door. I walk in, and I get punched from the side, punched from the other side. It was a complete and total fucking setup. John went out, stood on the other side of that door, listening, and right before they closed the door, my friend said he saw all those dudes gathering around the door to jump on me when I walked in. I got fucking stabbed. Do you think I'm gonna go by myself and attack a fucking room full of people?
No,
this ain't a
not
fucking
really.
Jackie fucking Chan movie.
Right.
You know?
The way it was depicted in the media, Harley took a knife, fucking charged through Webster Hall, ran up the stairs and was stabbing everyone. Like, I'm fucking killing everyone in this fucking place.
I got cut too. I'm just lucky that I had a fucking knife in my bag, you know, and people would say, why did you have a knife or whatever? I always have a fucking knife on me. I had that, it's the fucking tool, you know, I use it for all kinds of shit. I got one on me right now. I'm on my couch.
Flanagan was transported to the hospital. Cops charged him with 2 counts of second-degree assault and weapons charges.
So I went from the hospital to the Tombs and then eventually to Rikers. So I'm in my cell, and all of a sudden I get told that I have a visitor. I got legal counsel there.
I was incredibly nervous. I'd never been to a jail or a prison or any situation like that before. There's a plastic table, plastic chair, and a bulletproof glass. And I was sitting there, and then I started to think to myself, what are you doing? Why are you here? Suddenly, you're in Rikers Island, waiting for Harley Flanagan, who, by all accounts, just did some really, really grave things.
I actually met Harley for the first time back then. I walked his crazy dog, which was like a thing. He doesn't remember. I was just another kid. We were on completely different life tracks. I was in school. I went to college. I received my PhD. And then I went to law school. At one point, I started an online magazine called New York Natives, and I interviewed Harley for it. At the time, he sent me what he called a draft of his book, and I agreed to help him edit it. And we became good friends. And when I heard about Webster Hall, and that he was at Rikers, I knew I had to help.
I go up there, and I'm sitting in the room waiting for my attorney to come in, and Laura walks in.
I was in my little Upper East Side uniform, my white blouse and polka dot skirt, and really, really out of place.
You don't do this kind of law.
I was like, you're right. I don't do this type of law. He's like, I wasn't expecting you. I was expecting my public defender.
You know, I'd been speaking to her the day that shit happened, you know, like literally leading up to the event. So she knew that what was being said was not true.
All of what they were saying to create this monstrous version of some madman wielding a knife, and I knew all of it was bullshit. And I don't like lies.
I was looking at up to 3 years. The mother of my kids had just left me, threatening that I was never gonna see my kids again. So it was like, I'm never gonna see my kids.
The stories kept changing.
Every fucking one of them gave a conflicting testimony.
By the third hearing, our attorney basically said, this is gonna get thrown out because the prosecutor can't find any credible witnesses.
Even though the charges were dropped, the emotional toll was horrible. It was a dark, dark period. And we wound up becoming very attached to each other. We had both been in long relationships, and mine was coming to a sad end, as was his. Harley was in need of support. He didn't have people rallying around him. In fact, most were running the opposite direction. We were all together on a life raft, doing our best to keep life as sane as we could for his kids, who needed any form of stability.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know about all these people. I don't know about all these people. Right, honey? I don't know.
You can love someone and not have it be a healthy relationship. You could fall in love with somebody that brings the worst things out of you. It's the first healthy relationship I've ever been in my life. I feel like I have fallen in love with the absolute right person because she makes me want to live.
In my pocket, what you want?
Relentless.
Okay. Thank you.
Get my kids into music because I was honestly a little bit afraid of my own experiences. I actually thought that like jiu-jitsu or MMA would be a better career choice. I was like, it's safer. It's safer to get punched in the face than it is to deal with like rock and roll insanity for your whole life.
As I move forward in my training, I'm trying to be very realistic about shit, especially after I got stabbed. Because then I started really getting into the mindset of jiu-jitsu is for my friends. Fighting is when you start fucking sticking your thumb all the way into someone's eyeball, and shit like that.
He's trying to process this completely chaotic life filled with mayhem and violence and abuse. The sadness isn't going to go away. The trauma's not going to leave. But once you understand that there's this trauma in your head, there are moves that you can make to overcome those traumatic experiences that you've had.
You know how many thoughts you think in a day, friend? 60 or 70,000 thoughts every day, and 90% of them are the same exact thoughts day in, day out. It's like we gotta break the habit of being ourselves,
To be the character in that movie that I was, I had to like go into that violent headset. So I couldn't turn my brain off. Like I would just have like images of violence just fucking like playing in my brain and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat until I just like couldn't fucking take it. It's just like, and that's when I like start fucking like missing the heroin and shit. You just go bang. And then like you're asleep and you're just like, you're wherever you are and you're fucking warm and fuzzy and you're not afraid and angry and.
But you're not really living.
No, you're not. You're practically dead there, you know.
For some reason, you wound up doing that movie, and you had that experience, and it's opened up this, you know, a lot of things that you're looking at, and you know, evolving or changing and healing, all these things.
I had an incident the other night, like just like walking my dog, having an exchange with someone.
This asshole had a dog on a leash, but all of a sudden his dog comes flying at me, barking and trying to attack my dog. And like, I didn't see this fucking thing coming. My dog's like, whoa, and I'm like, whoa, like trying to hold him. I just look at the dude and I'm like mumbling to myself, you know, you can hold that motherfucker better. And this guy starts in with the, you saying something, man? You saying something? And I wind up getting so fucking angry from walking away. I've gotten so far from where I was, where I am now. It's like fucking night and day.
You know, my life really is in the best place it's ever been. I just gotta stay on the trajectory I'm on, you know? Stay focused, stay positive.
I think ultimately the goal is, you know, if you can be at peace with yourself, you know, if you can know that the people you love, you know, they know you love them, and you can leave something behind for them, besides just a memory, you know, then you did good.
I guess you can probably figure out by now that this is a cheap old guitar and a cheap old tape recorder, and I just put together something just so I could send it to you. I got the blues. I had the blues for 25 years now, and I've had them just on account of what a rotten ass I was back in the day. I've been battling alcohol since I quit heroin. I quit alcohol for 14 months, and then I went off on a bender because I couldn't find nobody to love or to care for, and a man just ain't made to be alone in this world, but I guess that's what I got coming for what I've been in this life.
So I only actually ever got like 2 letters from my dad. One of the letters was a cassette. It was recorded at a halfway house that he was living at the time. It was kind of hard to hear. Especially, you know, knowing how he eventually died, you know, it's like he was still pretty much on the street, and, you know, he died from a fire that he set in a dumpster trying to keep warm. And I don't have any memories of him in his life, but I did bury him with my own hands.
I was actually very lucky that the last year of her life, me and her were able to put a lot of that behind us.
That's beautiful.
You
You're
know,
lucky.
I mean, I thank God or the universe or whatever. I just am so grateful that I was able to finally just love her. I just wish it would have happened sooner.
I've never been to a punk show, so this is kind of a cool beginning to that. When I moved back to New York, I was like 16, and I'd see people wearing t-shirts that say Cro-Mags. I would Google it, and I found out that they were way bigger than I thought they were.
She basically tracked me down. I kind of lost touch after her grandparents took custody. I just didn't know if I was really supposed to like stay in touch.
Tell me about that picture. I've never been to Ireland, so I have to do it.
So we have two joints coming. Because 2 is better than 1.
It meant a lot to me that she came to find me. You know, she actually came out on tour with us not that long ago in the States. You know, her and my son were working the merch together. It was kind of funny.
This is what 55 is supposed to look like, motherfuckers. You fucking better live every fucking day like you mean it. Because you don't know when it's gonna be your last. That means every day you fucking love life. Show your love for the people that matter to you. And you do that by being strong. You do that by not giving up, no matter what the fuck life hands you. My feelings of self-hate and regret. I know I can't undo that I've done. At least now I know have a conscience. I don't forgive myself, but I accept what I've done. I think that the moment you forgive yourself is the moment you're fucking devaluing the horror of what the fuck you've done, and you're not accepting the responsibility for it anymore. You know, one interesting thing, as far as like the constant sound, I've actually gotten to a place where I'm able to, where it's almost like my heart rate and my breathing become the bass and the drum. And all the sounds around me start to become the percussion. And you can actually hear it all fall into place. Thoughts completely stop, and I'm just like hearing and waiting for the next bird or the next noise. I've been practicing letting that happen, just stopping and listening to the music of the universe and my